This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Recording has started. Hey, listeners. How you doing? It is I, Charlie, the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is the bashful blue-eyed bomber from the bombastic Burg of Pits.
Phil Perich. I love how I'm like that grim every week now.
Yeah, well, you know, I like the bashful blue. Well, you are bad. You're cute. You're sweet.
Oh,
And you got the blue eyes.
oh, stop.
You know, and you're not really bombastic, but I like the Burg of Pits, though. We're gonna have to use that more.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm not the bombastic fellow.
No, I'm a bit bombastic. That is. I am a bombastic fellow. And hey, this is Superconnectivity. If you didn't know what show you were watching,
Oh, you know. By now you gotta know.
yeah, or at least what show you're listening to.
Episode 245.
Well, there we go. We have those numbers. Okay. Let's get to some. Okay. Let's get to the big news.
What you were right.
Well, I'm not going to say I was right, but I'm going to say I am not a dumbass.
It's only taken like 2 years.
You know, look, hey, you know what? And this is what I'm going to say, because the original listing comes from the Marvel Universe Handbook from 1983. For those interested, Comic Drake does a great YouTube breakdown of what is called the Punch Dimension, which is essentially how Cyclops' powers work, which says in the 1983 official handbook to the Marvel Universe that Cyclops' eyes open a portal to another dimension of pure concussive force, and that is where his eye beams come from. Now, this is something they've gone a little bit back and forth on this, and they've kind of split the difference. Like, no, I think the official statement is his eyes do open a dimension of concussive force. That the sort of catalyst is solar radiation, yada yada yada. But here's the thing. That is not too dang far from the idea of the cosmic force of Cyttorak being the empowering agent of Cyclops. So I gotta say, I feel very vindicated in my theory. Now, granted, this is not saying, no one has said that Cyclops is the naturally born avatar of Cyttorak, and that had he not gotten bonked on the head as a kid, he would have had full use of his powers. Which, crazy thing, how come that is a what if that's never been said?
What?
What if Cyclops didn't bunk his head as a kid? Because the whole story of Cyclops is he bangs his head as a kid, gets basically closed head trauma that damages the part of his brain that controls his mutant power. And it's like, if he had full control over his mutant power.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, I mean, would there be a lot of difference except he wouldn't have to wear the glasses, maybe?
Well, except maybe he could do different things with it. Like maybe he could, like the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak, bend the beams, make them do other things.
I was gonna say he's not a trained
control
magician.
Their intensity.
That's the what if. What if Scott Summers was the Sorcerer Supreme?
Well, there you go. I mean, I'm telling you, Cyttorak is like the go-to demon that every magician uses in the Marvel Universe, because he's got an excessive amount of power, and because he is a force of chaos, he is happy to loan you his dimensional existence. And for a character like Cyclops, who is blasting stuff, blowing stuff up, that is exactly the kind of work that Cyttorak, hires people for.
And it would explain why Mr. Sinister is way, way interested in Cyclops. Because he knows
among other reasons, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a cutie. I'm not going to deny it.
Well, no, I was gonna say like he was all obsessed with combining that Scott Summers and Jean Grey DNA. I mean, we see why Jean Grey. I mean, she was a host for the Phoenix and everything, but it's like, why is he so interested in a guy who just shoots eye beams on it? Beams out of his eyes.
But doesn't that strike you as interesting that both of them theoretically have access to other dimensional powers?
Mm-hmm. Well,
if Cyclops, and like I said, and this isn't even going by Star Trek. This is just going by the punch dimension theory. And of course, as Cosmic Drake also points out, America Chavez, as she's punching through dimensions, winds up at one point in the crimson dimension of kinetic force. Which you could say, oh, well, that shows it's not Cyttorak's home dimension. But then, does it really say that? Because they don't know what dimension it is. It's just, it's a universe filled with excessive amounts of kinetic energy that's crimson,
Okay, then here's a question. If you're right about Cyclops, does Havoc have any of that access? I mean, his energy charges look different, and they're from the hands, not the eyes. But
it's entirely possible that both Summers boys have some kind. This is the thing,
and it's canon. Their powers don't hurt. Like if they shoot at each other, they can't hurt each other with their powers.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that yes, as an example, Havoc's power is white, so maybe he is using that dagger kind of light dimension energy, that maybe they're both have portal access to other dimensions, and how they utilize that is what we're seeing,
I think you just spoiled a big plot point in House of X and Powers of X.
Well, maybe, man. You know what? Look, Marvel listens to this show.
Oh yeah, of course.
And Hickman. Hickman is a lifelong listener, I'm sure.
Hickman's writing on his pad right now. I know he is.
Like, oh, great idea. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks. I always say, these ideas are free. These are free to you. Actually, I was very happy. I'm a big fan of Yakko's hot dogs. And you mean that's a Philadelphia thing? It's not. Well, it's actually more of a Wilkes-Barre thing, but or Wilkes-Barre, I forget. But they have a very creepy mascot, but delicious hot dogs. And they had posted a little thing because I followed them because it's a company I follow on Twitter or on and I said, scary mascot, delicious food, and they wrote back, new slogan. And I'd let them know yours for free. It's because I want them to use that. It is a very scary mascot, but it is very delicious hot dogs. Not Spawn. Yeah. But anyway, if you ever get out to the Philly area, I'll take you to get some Yakko's hot dogs.
Oh, I know where you and Mog are stopping on your road trip.
You know what? I'd like to, but they're actually very hard to find. They're only like a few locations.
Oh.
And you got to know where they are. It's like, got to track them down.
They have a website or anything?
Yeah, they do. They do. That's, yeah. Yeah, you can track them down, but then you have to plot them out. And, now, yes, I could just drive to one now. If I was driving into Philly or that area, I could map it out, and I could go to one of the original ones. They have mall stores now, but they actually, they are a few standalones that are the really classic, Yakkos. But anyway, but all of my ideas, they go out there and they're public domain. I don't, I'd love it if someone says, oh yeah, actually, Charlie said we could use this. He's a great guy. Yeah, that's all I ever want is someone to say he's a great guy. And hey, that was a great idea. Yeah. And we've run with it. We've built on it. We've made it more than whatever he thought it was. But, that was a great inspiration. That's all I ask. No charge. Sometimes you got to do it for just the publicity. Anyway, getting back to the point. So the idea that Cyclops is opening up these dimensional portals, and that's where his power is coming from, which is not. This is kind of a go-to in the Marvel universe because you may remember there's the dimension of biomatter that Ant-Man draws his extra mass from.
Yeah.
You know, but actually, one of the things I was going to say is that when we look at the Immortal Hulk, there is this idea that, you know, there is this mystical component to the science in the Marvel Universe. That, yes, there's the gamma, but there's more to the gamma than just the radiation. Yes, you can define it as this radiation, but actually there's something hidden within the radiation, that quality of magic lies within it. So as we're looking at these children of the atom, yeah, it's very easy to say, well, they have a genetic mutation and that gives them superpowers. But it's like, there has to be more to it than that. There has to be more to these characters, more to what they're doing than just shooting fireballs. You know?
That's what I've been theorizing, that this whole House of X and Powers of X thing is, they're like, oh, nothing's ever going to be the same. I'm just wondering if they're going to say there's some, I don't know if it can be a person or an entity. There's going to be something where it's like mutations aren't just the random thing that we've been told of since 1963.
Well, I don't know if it's going to go that far. I mean, enough for nothing. They've been doing the story of, oh, the government's manipulating genes, and this is this, and you know, everyone's manipulating stuff, and
or there was a catalyst that set it in motion originally. Yeah, something.
You know, I mean, I'm okay if they decide to go that route. I hope there's not some, and you know, it kind of, to me, it's like when they try to make.
Well, they just hear people like you saying, "Oh, it's such a lazy origin. Oh, you're just born with these powers." You know.
First off, I've never said it was a lazy origin. I've said that, and Stan Lee has said he just didn't want to have to think of a new reason for people to have powers. I enjoy it because it's fun to actually think about stuff beyond that, and it's also nice to imagine the idea that it's a random genetic quirk.
Yeah.
But the idea that it's a random genetic quirk doesn't deny its magical existence.
Yeah.
You know, and so for me, it's like, it's a magical quality of this universe. This is a magic, you know, this is the thing. The superhero universe is a magical universe.
Oh, yeah.
It is a universe in which, you know, it just like Peter says in Far From Home, it's like, oh, Thor used to be a myth, and now I study him in physics class.
Well, it's all magic. So it's like the old...
Because...
I was gonna say it's all magic because it's like the old saying, you know, magic is just science we don't understand yet.
Yeah, well, you know, well, exactly. It's like, and you know, and science is just magic we don't understand yet. You know, it is the reality that the world that they're existing in, with mutants, with radioactive mutation that leads to superpowers.
Yeah,
you know. The idea with the mutants, and really the actual idea, I think, that maybe Stan Lee was hinting at when he called them the children of the atom, was the idea that because of nuclear testing, there's just so much radiation out there right now that people are just going to start to develop randomized superpowers. And so they did, you know. And, you know, I think that works as it is, you know. When you start making it a grand design of, you know, here's why mutants have powers, you know? Like, you want to go back to, like, the Avengers 1 million, and you suggest that, oh, because the Phoenix Force and the Star Brand were hanging out on Earth, that they, you know, them and the Celestials just sort of, like, zapped everybody, and that's what led to the rise of the mutants. I don't like that. I like the idea that mutants are just, as theorized, just a part of the natural evolution of humanity. That, you know, just, you know, that basically, yeah, they, you know, the Kree created Inhumans, the Celestials created the Eternals, but in both cases, they were just sort of unlocking what was already there in the human genome. That the human genome, arguably because Gaia is the elder goddess of our universe and made her home on our planet, you know, and that's what we get with Wolverine. Is Wolverine's powers come from Gaia, ergo, the fact that there is always this mystical quality to the human existence that comes into play when these superpowers arise.
I mean, I have no problem with the randomness of it. I just have this strange feeling that that's the direction they're going to go. It's like, oh, there's some mastermind behind it. There was some catalyst. There, it's not completely random.
But that's kind of like, when you start trying to give, and again, I would say it's like when you give an origin to the Joker. But I'm going to go one step further. It's like when you want to give a reason for Batman's parents' death.
Yeah, exactly.
When you want to make it like, oh, Joe Chill was actually part of the Guild of Shadows or whatever they're called,
Yeah, or a mob that had, the
Waynes had to die.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I like Joe Chill as a junkie better. It's like, Siamese pearls, didn't realize they were so cheap when I ripped them off of her, but
it just seems like eventually they try to tie everything together, characters who had never been their origins tied together before, stuff like that. It's just like, no, some stuff can be random. Some of these people could not, maybe some of these people didn't meet until we saw them for the first, it's
and I actually like that a bit better because I do feel that, the proto heroic tale is Jason and the Argonauts.
Mm-hmm.
And, the two things that always stick to me most about the story of Jason and the Argonauts is that Jason getting blessed by Hera is such a random thing he never actually asked for.
Mm-hmm.
To start with, where it's like literally just Hera puts him to some randomized test of, are you a good person? And he's like, yeah, I guess. It's like, okay, now I'm blessing you. Now go have grand adventures. And he goes have these adventures, and then it all winds up to Dross anyway because everything falls apart, and he eventually dies when the masthead, or I don't know, the prow of his ship falls over and smashes his skull in. It's a sad story. This story of Jason and the Argonauts, it's a great story if you stop it before the end. If you actually keep on watching, it actually goes way downhill. His bride gets turned into a Gorgon, and then she's all tormenting him because he's like, I don't really want to be married to a Gorgon. It's like, well, I'm only a Gorgon because I killed my whole family to be with you. It's like, you were a little obsessed, lady. I don't know,
I mean, but yeah, just them trying to tie everything together now. It's like, this week that Captain America and Wolverine Weapon Plus thing came out, and I guess they're trying to tie Weapon X into the Super Soldier Serum and basically.
Well, they've been doing that. In fact, they honestly, the whole Weapon X, first it's Weapon Plus, and now it's actually Weapon Times, and actually it was Weapon 10,
or Weapon 10,
Weapon 1, and now it's Weapon 10.
X, it's 10. I think Grant Morrison originally came up with that.
It's ridiculous, but you know what? It makes them happy. I mean, we'll have to see when we do the official, the new official Marvel saga that's coming out.
The history of the Marvel Universe,
The history of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how they define everything. Yeah. I mean, honestly, here's what I'll say. It's like, there were obviously efforts made to harness superhumanity by the U.S., by the Germans, by other allies. Because, of course, remember, before World War II, people talked.
Yeah.
Once we got over that whole World War I thing, that was a whole bear. People always, that's World War I. That was a crazy war. We were on the side of the guy who shot Franz Ferdinand. That's what you got to remember about World War I. It's like, it's crazy, Yeah. Anyway. I mean, the idea that there was this shared knowledge and that the allies were working together and that, there were breakoffs. I mean, honestly, I think that Canada deserves its own Alpha Flight. And to have it be separate from the U.S. I think Canada deserves to have their own efforts separate from the U.S. Because remember, the U.S. had the atom bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be. I mean, that's a more interesting story. It's like, okay, America's attempt at superhumans was the super soldier serum. Canada's attempt was the Weapon X project. And you could have projects going on in Europe and Asia over the years. And now,
Well, what I think there's a great story to tell there in the idea that,
but make them all.
After World War II, when the U.S. had the atom bomb, they said, you know what, we really don't need super soldiers anymore. They really. They don't. They're costly, and you can't control a super soldier, as we saw with William Burnside.
Or you go the other way, and you'd be like, okay, the technology for the atom bomb is out there. We may need superhumans.
Well, no.
Someone else developing it.
Well, because here's the thing: Canada doesn't have nuclear weapons.
No,
but Canada has weaponized superhumans.
Exactly.
The U.S. doesn't actually have weaponized superhumans. Generally speaking, generally speaking, you have maybe you have people with a little bit of juice, but you don't usually have. And this is again, this is that gray area, sort of like how we don't have biological and chemical weapons in the U.S.
Sure,
we have it, but it's not our main arsenal. Canada's main arsenal is Alpha Flight, and the other flights. That Canada is a superhuman defensive force, is how they've positioned themselves in the Marvel Universe. That rather than building nukes, which are honestly not the best weapons because they actually do too much damage.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do anything strategic with a nuclear weapon. And so I like that. I like that idea within the Marvel Universe that's Canada's its investment in Alpha Flight, in their other flights, because they do also have a Beta Flight and a Gamma Flight and all that kind of stuff. Probably a Delta Flight, But you want to tie it together, and I can see it being tied together in the 40s. I think that there has to be that break where the Allies, first off, because after the 40s, Allies stopped sharing information a lot more.
Oh yeah.
Because now it was like, no.
Oh, there's the story. Maybe even a what if. It's like maybe America gets paranoid after Captain America disappears, and they're just like, wait, was there like a worldwide plot to like get rid of our super soldier? Or...
Yeah, or you just have, or you have the idea that you could always do the old Sliders Einstein's Folly story where Einstein goes on the Manhattan Project and then sabotages the Manhattan Project so that nuclear weapons never get developed. And so every country starts developing superhumans as their super weapons. That would be interesting. And like, what if super weapon and superhuman weapons were the thing? And, and what does that lead to? Does it lead to fascism? Does it lead to a world where everyone is super and so no one is super?
And I mean, if for no other reason, the countries of the world are going to develop superhumans after World War II, because everyone's going to be like, oh, that crazy Namor's out there.
Well, yeah, he is crazy. But only because Charles Xavier made him so.
Yes, and the pressure under the sea and above the sea makes them lose.
I think one thing I think you can say is like, people maybe are right to blame the mutants for all the problems, because clearly Charles Xavier just can't help meddling. He's just going inside everyone's brain. That's a supervillain power. We've said this many times. On a lighter note, I do want to talk about this very interesting thing that is actually from season 1 of DuckTales, of the new season of DuckTales, which is I believe it's from the Secret Case Files of Agent 22, in which we find out that Mrs. Beaksley was in like a 1970s super spy who teamed up with Scrooge McDuck in sort of an Avengers and Mrs. Beale kind of thing. A lot of fun. It's a good episode. But the most interesting thing about this is it is strongly implied that gummy bears existed in this universe. And what's interesting about that, and actually it's kind of interesting because you actually look at the drawings. First off, the gummy bears look very kind of scary and demonic. But it also looks like the the wise men of Dunhill are actually the trolls that were kind of, because they were always trying to steal the secret of gummy berry juice. This is what's weird to me, okay? Because this is some Pixar theory level stuff going on in this. The gummy bears existed in a world of humans, trolls, and anthropomorphic gummy bears. DuckTales exists in a world of anthropomorphic animals.
No humans.
No humans. No gummy bears. And few, if any, trolls.
Multiverse.
Well, no, but here's the thing. Here's the weird thing. So gummy berry juice has different effects on different beings.
Yeah.
If you were a human and you took gummy berry juice, it gave you super strength and invulnerability, which is why the Duke is always trying to get the gummy berry formula. If you're a gummy bear, it just gives you that super bouncing ability.
Yeah, speedball.
If you are a duck or a duck being and you take the gummy berry juice, you get both powers.
Oh.
Because they show that they have the super strength and then they start bouncing,
Oh.
And they say, yes, my super soldiers will be bouncing here and there and everywhere. Mass destruction that's beyond compare. They do a lot of references to the gummy bears.
Aren't we bringing back Darkwing Duck?
That would be great. Well, they already introduced Negaduck into the Darkwing Duck universe. Honestly, these are the things that get me so excited for Disney Plus. To be honest with you, it's like WandaVision, great. I'm actually looking forward to WandaVision. That I would actually say is probably my most anticipated new idea they're going to put on this is WandaVision. The Captain America and Bucky show, it's going to be fun. But I don't know what they're going to do with it yet. Whatever they're going to do with Clint Barton and Hawkeye and Lady Hawkeye, we'll see what that is going to be. But I am mostly intrigued by the stuff they haven't announced yet. And it gets me wondering, are we going to get a Gummy Bears reboot? Are we going to get a Tailspin reboot? Because not for nothing, we see references to Cape Suzette in the new DuckTales reboot. And I don't know if they ever actually canonically crossed over in the old 90s shows. But they're definitely leaning on that in the current series. And so if we might get a rebooted Gummy Bears, because obviously someone loves Gummy Bears at Disney. Someone says, this is a property we own. How can we bring this back?
Yeah,
and of course,
I was going to say the accounting department.
Well, not for nothing. Hey, there's nobody more creative than an accountant, Philip. Let me tell you that. Oh, accounting is a magical field. It's like Tahiti. But yeah, the Gummy Bears crossover with the current DuckTales is, to me, either a completely meaningless throwaway that they put in there for fan service, or it's the start of something really huge that's going to be revealed as we go forward. We don't know yet. But the fact that they did reintroduce Darkwing Duck, and what I thought was interesting when they reintroduced Darkwing Duck was the idea that they reintroduced Darkwing Duck as a fictional character, but then evolved the story so that you actually have them having a real Darkwing Duck with a Launchpad McQuack as his friend storyline in the DuckTales universe, and a Negaduck from the original Darkwing Duck who now decides, if I can't be the hero, I'll be the villain. And he gets in his costume all gets bleached out in the toxic sewer sludge, as you do. Yeah. So I really like what they're doing with the DuckTales reboot. And it's stuff like that that gives you so much hope for the promise of Disney Plus.
Yeah, is it going to be on Disney Plus? Because isn't DuckTales on one of those? It's on one of the Disney channels right now.
Well, it's currently on Disney XD.
Yeah.
But the other shows they could spin off of it could be on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Or it could be on the Disney XD app. And, or it could be on both.
Both, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like they can put them all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, the first one is here. The second one is here with commercials. And then you have the regular broadcast as the third option.
Or put it on both. It could for the portability too. Or if the kid's in the car and wants to watch DuckTales, you can just like fire up the Disney Plus.
Well, yeah. Well, exactly. And the idea is that, the thing with Disney Plus is that it's got a lot of content options.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're just in that excited thing. Now, I think it's really telling that Marvel is going back to Hall H this year at San Diego Comic-Con, which tells me they have got big announcements.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm just waiting for next week because they're going to announce movie dates. They're going to announce probably a ton of stuff for Disney Plus.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing, and I think that was this thing. Like Disney was saying, we're only going to do Disney 23 going forward because this is, and for what it's worth, that was their place to be, and that was their thing. And I don't necessarily fault them for it, but I think it also hurts them in the long run because I think that really engaging with the community is an important part of building the brand.
Well, I'm pretty sure DC said they're not going to have like a big thing there this year. But yeah, probably because they know Disney's going to crush the news cycle.
Well, of course, Disney's going to crush the news cycle because, not for nothing, AOL just staggered out with HBO Max this week.
Yeah.
They're very much behind the curve. And really, they will probably do at New York Comic-Con. They're probably going to do a big buyout, or maybe at C2E2 because I think it goes San Diego, New York, then C2E2. I think that's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think because they usually give each other a lot of space in that, but they're going to give it that space, and then they're going to do their big launch of what or what HBO Max is going to be.
Yeah.
Because they don't, and I think not for nothing. I think that Disney will respect that space. AOL respects the space. I mean, don't Disney's going to still be out there because Disney's not going to break its stride for anybody. But I'm sure they said, we're going to do our big launch at San Diego Comic-Con because it's in the prime spot. It's in the middle of summer when everyone is thinking, ooh, what's going on with superheroes right now and every other product. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely where it's going. And I think there's the real possibility that Disney Plus is going to have a lot of things. I am so hoping for more Dungeons and Dragons based on the original Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, which is the only Dungeons and Dragons fiction I accept. And I'm sorry. It's like, oh, we're just going to be in the Dungeons and Dragons universe where we're fighting orcs and we're just some random murder hobos. And it's like that. It's great because yes, I know murder hobos is a thing for D&D, and everyone wants to be a murder hobo. But I think what makes it a sellable story is the story of Hank and Eric and Presto and Bobby and Sheila and and I'm forgetting the other one's name. I'm not even sure which one is Sheila and which one is Sheila was the redhead, and was it Diana? Was the acrobat? I'm going to go along with that for right now. But yeah, it's the whole group being together as people that are trying to get through this universe and being that person for the universe. I'm excited about it. I'm going to see where it goes. We're going to see what grows out of course, Spider-Man Homecoming. Or, sorry, Spider-Man Far From Home. It seems weird that Far From Home is after Homecoming, but, Spider-Man Spring Fling.
No, it's going to be Home in the title.
Oh, does that have to be Home? Okay. Spider-Man Home Base.
Oh, now, spoilers. Now that he's been outed, is the next one going to be Spider-Man No More Home? Or No Home?
Spider-Man Home from the Holidays. I don't know. I mean, but, I think, first off, I am not yet convinced that Nick Fury isn't in Tahiti when we see him.
Yeah, maybe.
That he's being manipulated by the Skrulls. And here's the thing: it's like they could be utilizing Nick Fury's brain to sort of convince him he's on vacation, convince him that, oh, we're your friends. I'm Talos the Skrull, and I'm your friend.
Oh, what if they're playing the long con? What if they do have a sinister motive?
Well, they do.
I know.
The thing. That's the thing. It's like
they played him as the good guys in Captain Marvel, and it looks like here they're working with Fury. But can you imagine that?
Well, that's the thing. They don't play them as good guys in Captain Marvel. Talos as much says, I have a lot of blood on my hands.
Yeah, but I thought it was more like, it's a war. We were defending ourselves, but it was a war.
Well, yeah, it was a war. It is a war. And it's, it's like you say, it's Nazis versus it's Hitler versus Stalin.
Yeah, I just thought they were playing them as like the victims, Well, they
were victims. Just because they're victims doesn't mean they can't turn around and be evil.
Well, maybe they're just like, the Kree destroyed our world, so we're going to take Earth.
Well,
because I just wonder.
Not for nothing, Philip. Mm-hmm. That's basically the entire argument of the Nazis after the Treaty of Versailles in World War I.
Exactly.
Is that the world came after us, all we did was defend ourselves against a terrorist attack, and then all of a sudden all the world came and just stomped on us when we were the guys who were the victims of the terrorist attack with the killing of Franz Ferdinand, and suddenly we're the bad guys. We're getting crushed. And then we get all of our land taken from us, and we're all this, and that's what led to the rise of the Nazis. Honestly, you do that heel turn with the Skrulls after that Captain Marvel, where you get, the Kree are obviously fascist monsters. Like, yeah, but that doesn't mean the Skrulls are nice guys.
I mean, and I think in Spider-Man, they kind of, you could say they were trying to play Talos as like, he didn't know all of Fury's secrets, but they kind of played him as a little bit bumbling. I just wonder if that's going to be like, that was an act, mate. You don't think I was that stupid, do you?
Well, here's the thing. When he makes the comment about the Kree sleeper cells.
Yes.
Again, he's like, how was I supposed to know? What he says, I thought the existence of Kree sleeper cells was supposed to be top secret. Like, how do they know about the Kree sleeper cells? We know about these because in the end, the Kree and the Skrulls are having a war, and we are in the middle of it.
What if Fury has Kree agents too? What if he's playing both sides?
That could be possible. That's the thing. I think there is a lot at play here that goes beyond just the Skrulls are the good guys and the Kree are the bad guys. Because the Kree have always been the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
The entire original story of the original Captain Marvel is him betraying the Kree.
Oh, yeah, to save Earth, yeah.
To save Earth. And, the fact that the Skrulls are also the bad guys doesn't mean, like, at various times in the history, sometimes the Kree are on top, sometimes the Skrulls are on top.
Oh, yeah.
We just came in when the Skrulls are at the bottom.
We're just in the middle of the Hatfields and the McCoys.
Yeah. But again, it's like, it's the Skrulls because they're the Germans after the Treaty of Versailles, and now, look at those plucky Skrulls rising up from the ashes, and then, Skrulls, what are you doing? No, don't rise that far up from the ashes.
That's what I'm saying. It just seems to me they're playing the Skrulls like the total victim is like, the evil Kree have been stuffing us under a boot heel. It's like, no, they're the same. It's just
exactly they are the same. They're just because you suffered just because you suffered doesn't mean now you are justified in all of your future actions.
You may have had atrocities perpetrated on you, but you probably perpetrated some atrocities on the Kree also.
Exactly. Well, of course they did because it was war, and that is Talos's point. And for what it's worth, Talos clearly has a drinking problem with the milk. I love that, and I think honestly, Talos always sounds like he's had a couple.
What's that? Is that the Australian accent? I mean, the Kree accent.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Skrull accent. Well, no, It seems unique to him because, like, you could say, oh, maybe it's the teeth or the whatever, but his wife seems to have no problems. Talos is always like,
he's from.
But he could be doing a Columbo with that, where it's like he's always lulling everyone into that false sense that he doesn't know what he's doing.
He's from the southern hemisphere of the Skrull home world. She was from the northern hemisphere.
Oh well, that's judgmental, but okay.
What? No,
a lot of countries have
why he has an accent and she doesn't. Maybe they're from different parts of the planet.
Yeah, well, it's not just his accent. There's a way in which he carries himself that often holds itself. And actually, it's one of these things. Is like when you rewatch it and you watch Samuel L. Jackson's body language, it is a slightly different body language, I think.
Oh yeah. When he's
as he is, Talos.
Because Talos, people would get in his face. He might like, I don't pause for a second. Fury would just stare you down with that one eye.
Yeah, exactly. Although, fun fact, they have officially stated it is the real Nick Fury at the funeral.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it is that is Nick Fury at the funeral, and then it becomes and then Talos takes over at some point after.
Okay.
I do wonder if Dimitri is going to be the chameleon.
I mean, because he kind of disappeared. We really don't see him much after that.
We don't see him much, and it also strikes me that he is kind of a put-upon guy in this.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's kind of like the third guy, and he doesn't really get a lot given to him. And the idea that he might decide to break away and go off on his own, especially after seeing a guy like Mysterio.
What if MCU Chameleon is a Skrull?
It would seem completely. Honestly, are we certain that the 616 Chameleon isn't a Skrull?
I mean, they always play him as a Russian. No, he was. I mean, eventually they said, I don't know if he was like a half brother of Kraven or something. It was something weird like that.
Yeah, well, not for nothing. That doesn't mean he's not a Skrull.
That's true, but I mean,
one of the things that's interesting that we have seen in Marvel history, as they've expanded Marvel history, is that the Skrulls have been around for a long time. There were always Skrull sleeper cells and always Skrulls hiding out, like since the Old West, that you would get these Skrulls that would show up and would, try and do their thing and, usually found, because I'm sure if you're the Skrulls, it's always that question: do you want to fight for some podunk planet like Earth?
Yeah.
It's like it's not until Earth gets really strategic later on, because I guess we fall right between the Kree and the Skrull empires.
Oh yeah, I mean, what was it during Galactic Storm? That's where all the Stargates were. Their midpoint was that Earth, and meanwhile their Stargates were messing up our sun.
But that gets to the idea that I think that maybe, rather than Secret Invasion, rather than anything else, I think Phase 4 is going to be Galactic Storm. It's going to be about this mounting Kree-Skrull war.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas I think in previous incarnations we were on the side of the Kree and then realized, well, we've got to be on the side of Earth. We can't be on the side of the Kree or the Skrulls. I think this time it's going to be reversing it as we come to realize that as evil as the Kree are, the Skrulls don't have Earth's best interest at heart.
Oh, is that going to be the downfall of Nick Fury? Or is someone going to figure out he's been playing both sides and they're going to be like, well, what? You're just going to stand around and wait to see who survives and take their side? Or who had
well, we don't know. And again, that assumes he's not being Tahiti.
True. Oh, true, yeah.
That's the thing. I really think that is a key to, because I'm sorry, anyone who watches Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., who saw that big blue sky, didn't immediately think Tahiti. I mean, not for nothing, right now, as we're watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we're seeing Coulson, finally go to Tahiti, like, there's not any of us who think that ain't Tahiti, because it's the exact same green screen they're using.
Oh, yeah.
It's too perfect, it's too obvious, and it's too much what they're trying to say. Speaking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I do want to make this point about why I do think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., with their 1 year time jump within the 5 year time jump, actually makes perfect sense.
Oh, you don't think they're they're in a separate universe now?
No. I think it is absolutely the exact same universe. I think because here's the thing. Honestly, I got to think the Mets just went out of business because they were stuck in some Ponzi schemes, and the whole franchise kind of fell apart. Because that's like oh, I miss the Mets, but they never say I miss the Yankees. Which makes me think that the Yankees were still a going concern. I don't think that just because half the population disappeared 5 years ago that they stopped playing baseball.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't seem like how it would work out. So I honestly think that I think that maybe the Mets went out of business. Maybe Citi Field is in disarray.
Maybe you just might not have had enough people to field all those teams, and you didn't have enough people supporting all those left to support all those teams.
There were still 4 billion people on the planet, though.
Yeah, not all in America, though.
Yes, there were still about 200 million people on the planet in America at that time. Like if you do that even split.
They're not all, but they're not all going to every team's baseball games, though.
No, but within 5 years, you don't think that there were some other great ball players that came up? Maybe not everyone's a Babe Ruth, but
maybe not,
I'm sure
but maybe not as many.
Not as many, and they get paid a little less. That's the thing. I think financial mismanagement is what destroyed the Mets.
Yeah, that too, and that's what I'm saying. And then you're having the number of fans that are coming to the games too.
Yeah, and so in that case, like I said, it makes sense that it makes sense the Mets, the less popular team,
exactly,
would get cut against the Yankees.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't have two teams, New York. What do you think? You're so fancy, you get two teams. No, you get one.
There was only enough money for one team, yeah.
But still, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And the idea that, there's a lot of stuff that got screwed up, but the fact of the matter is that there's still a lot of people, everyone's still moving forward, and a year later, no one's even going to mention it.
Yeah, but, okay, here's my thing with, don't you think S.H.I.E.L.D. has to be in another timeline? Because once half the population disappears and all your Spider-Mans and Black Panthers disappeared, why wouldn't Mac take that team directly to Steve and be like, Captain Rogers, my team is at your service? First off, you have to remember, S.H.I.E.L.D. is still super clandestine. Yeah, but can you afford to be at this point?
Well, you know what? Can you afford to align yourself with the people that got it snapped in the first place? Remember, Mac is the guy who doesn't trust these superheroes.
Yeah. I'm not saying you have to trust him completely, but it's like... don't you think they trust Captain America?
I don't know.
That's the scene we needed before Coulson died in his last days, him going to see Steve.
Yeah, maybe, but Steve. Well, at that time, Steve's on the run. Steve's actually a war criminal.
No, after the snap.
Well, that assumes.
Oh, that's right. Coulson. That gets.
Well, Coulson.
He was still. Last season's finale was around the snap time. So
it was around the snap time, but we don't know.
And Coulson.
We know that. So, and this is where time gets a little fudgy.
Yeah.
We know that they separate at that point. We see Deke wandering off.
Yeah.
We know, and for what it's worth, Coulson is dying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Assuming Coulson is dying and not going to Tahiti again.
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to say. We've never seen, the original Coulson's body yet.
Yeah, and not for nothing, there is nothing that says that maybe he doesn't have a reset like the Immortal Hulk or like so many other characters that, yes, he's dying for now.
Yeah, we haven't seen a grave. We haven't seen... they haven't said where he's buried, have they?
They have not. And I think that they're being...
odd to you that we haven't seen a gravestone. We have... even that could be fake, but it's like we haven't seen anything. Yeah. May hasn't said
I think they're being intentionally cagey about it because I think they want... First off, and as I always say, I don't think they keep these guys as much in the dark as they think.
Yeah. I hope Coulson's
Yes.
alive. Oh, I want a Coulson versus Sarge fight.
Assuming Coulson isn't Sarge.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but
I mean, you could reprogram a Coulson again, and it's also
you have that 1 year time too. Yeah.
Do the agents know what Coulson is? And you know what? And not for nothing,
And
this is the thing. You can say, well, why wouldn't Mac reach out to Natasha? But again, Natasha is sort of engaging her own Avengers level stuff,
mm-hmm.
and Shield is notoriously separate.
And if nothing else, I'm like, couldn't you get that's get some funding from Tony Stark might come in handy, some tech.
I don't know, because you don't want to, not for nothing. Well, not for nothing. Their alliance with Tony Stark was that they had infiltrated Maria Hill into his organization, but she got dusted too.
Yeah.
You'll remember at the end of Winter Soldier, she's there applying for the job. Stark. So she was the mole at Stark. So they kind of lose that when she gets dusted. So after the dusting, Mac is in a position where he's like, well, what do we do next? And the reality is he's got so many other irons in the fire. He's got half of his team in space looking for feds. He's got people on the ground, and now they're getting these incursions coming in. And again, I think incursions is an important aspect because, again, it's destruction of a world and people coming in, yada, yada, yada. I think there's a real probability that he is, trying to keep his team together and doesn't really have time to worry about all the other planets that Natasha is worrying about. Because Natasha's being a cosmic Avenger right now.
Yeah.
In Endgame, she's being a cosmic Avenger. She's reaching out way past Earth.
Yeah, but I thought it was just more she was coordinating everyone. Like you have your Captain Marvels and you had Rocket in space, but it was just,
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you've got,
and again, you want her to be that because it's like, well, hey, guys, kind of warn us if you see another Thanos coming.
Well, yeah, exactly. And to be fair, but I think that S.H.I.E.L.D. is working in a different sphere, which is why they're not. And like I said, because Mac's in charge, who is notoriously suspicious of the people who play with the he's just suspicious of capes.
Yes.
There's no two ways about it. He is notoriously suspicious of capes. And because of that, they're not going to want to engage with the, remaining Avengers.
Yeah.
Mac doesn't have the fanboy lust of Captain America that Coulson does. Maybe Coulson did speak to Captain America before he died. Maybe that's going to be a later scene that we get to see,
Yeah.
Where Chris Evans comes in and he sits down with Coulson and they have a little talk.
No, watch. I'll just show him on the phone and they'll show like Coulson's end of the conversation or something. No, I know.
You never know. Yeah, Chris Evans is a sport.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have him come in with his shirt off. He'll sit there in a jacket.
Oh, Chris Evans will do it. I just wonder if Disney's like, no, we don't want to pay him that money for that.
But again, I don't think you get paid the same for cameos.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think I really feel there is a friendliness amongst the creatives on these shows.
Yeah.
And the actors on these shows, where it is like, hey, you want to come in and just do a scene?
Oh, I'm sure between them, but
where you and Coulson sit and talk at the very end of his life.
But I
can see Chris says, yeah, that sounds like that'd be a nice thing for Cap to do.
Oh, Chris would do that in a heartbeat. I'm just thinking if there are suits somewhere who are just like, yeah, I don't know if we really need that or.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can see his agent not wanting to dilute the brand, et cetera, et cetera. But here's what I'm going to say. I'm not saying it happens. I'm saying if I see it happen, it is not in any way gonna faze me.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like I don't worry about that. Because not for nothing, they could even shoot that next week.
Yeah.
Flip it in this week. So it's not even like, it was a spoiler for this or that, or the other. It's like, no, it's like, okay, could you guys come down, or hey, can you stand in front of a blue screens for a funeral scene, or another wedding, as they said, so it is what it is. I'm excited about it, but I do think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has handled it well, even though people think they haven't because people want them to be more obsessed with it. But I got to feel like it was a tragedy that happened a year ago, and these are professionals in this universe. They're not going to be constantly talking about the snap, especially because for the most part, these people didn't have family to lose. It's not like half their family got snapped away because they didn't have anyone. And the people in S.H.I.E.L.D. are all like people that were kind of always loners to start with. So it's like, hey, all the people I'm looking for here, they kind of won the lottery, as it turns out.
Yeah.
So anyway, you want to talk a couple of comics before we get out of here, Phil?
Yes.
Okay, yes. And I'm boring Phil. He's tired. Invisible Woman, #1. Because you demanded it. This is a fun book. We get this little, and again, I love sledding time with these characters because we get Sue being her super spy, and this is like when she first learned to turn herself invisible and turn other things invisible and to manipulate force fields. Because they have this whole thing with her partner, and then when they actually show her being Sue Storm at the end, it's like the very original style, kind of baggy fit. It's the baggy fit, blue and black costume. So, that's nice.
That's Mark Waid. He loves the history.
Yes, but when we get to the whole next thing, she just, she gives her basic origin, but then we find out that her partner Aiden, has been captured by random middle European sounding name country. She's got to go find him. She goes to Madripoor, where she meets up with Black Widow. So that is our Invisible Woman super spy storyline. I really enjoyed it. For #1, it was very good. I will definitely pick up #2, and there's only a few of them, but I may even get the last couple on the pull list.
Nice.
Do you have another one you want to talk about?
I'll kind of do War of the Realms Omega and Thor concurrently because it's pretty close. But like I was telling you before, War of the Realms Omega basically sets up all those new series they have coming out, like Jane Foster. Now she has, remember she was carrying War Thor, the Ultimate Universe's Thor's hammer, and it kind of shattered. Now I don't know, she kind of wears it like a bracelet, but it can almost like it's changed shape and it's giving her these powers. So she's like, well, no, I shouldn't say.
Oh, so she's not using Dragon Fang.
No. She, I guess once the Warhammer shattered, now it can like take different shapes and stuff. And she's like, we just assumed it was a hammer. Maybe it just was the form of a hammer because that's what that Thor wanted it to be. But yeah,
that's interesting.
Oh yeah, and then she sees the ghost of Valkyrie, and basically gets the thumbs up to be the new Valkyrie and stuff.
Okay, well that's nice. That's nice of that Valkyrie.
Yeah, and then they have a Loki story because next week Loki #1.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, because next week's a good week for you, Charlie Esser. It's Loki #1, Superior Spider-Man's out, and then that Punisher annual, that Axe the Evil one, is out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no. So they show Loki's the king of the Frost Giants now since he killed Laufey.
Oh, cool. He just can't wait to be king.
And he's basically like, I'm the good guy now, right? Yeah.
As good as gods get. That's the thing. It's like, those pantheistic gods, they tend to be, they don't get that high enlightenment qualities. Even Athena isn't like high enlightenment. She's kind of just, lawful evil.
Yeah. It's Loki.
Yeah, well, Loki. Well, he's actually kind of, chaotic evil.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, and then the last story is Frank Castle all gearing up to go after that frost giant, who killed that guy's family. 'Cause he even tells the guy, he's like, I'm coming to tell you, I'm going to hunt it down. He's like, I just came to tell you in case, I don't make it back. But he's like, no matter what, whether I make it back or not, I'm going to kill that frost giant for you. And the guy even, I guess the guy's been taken in orphans, because he shows the Punisher like this van full of orphans. He's just like, yeah, all these kids lost their parents during the whole thing and stuff. So the Punisher's like, oh yeah, don't worry, that thing's dead.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, honestly, as contrived of a concept as it is for the Punisher, I'll go along with it.
I know. Well, they had him like walking around New York cleaning up messes. Like there was like what was that, like one of those like demon dogs or something? He blows the head off one of those and stuff. Because there's people in the streets that are like, we're hungry, we haven't anything to eat, and he like blows the head off one of those like demon dogs. He's like, there you go. He's like, cook it.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing with the Punisher.
I had some. Well, they never know what to do with the Punisher. That's why he got to be Frankencastle and a Spirit of Vengeance, and why he's Cosmic Ghost Rider now.
Yeah, but it's like, and he still has his own regular book, but they're doing this Punisher Kill Crew where he's going after Yeah.
I mean, and it's fine. Honestly, for me, I kind of feel like John Barenthal is kind of my Punisher now, and it's like, I have had, I don't know if Punisher works on a pan-dimensional level. I'm not saying he can't.
It's just like every couple of years they seem like they feel like they have to give him a gimmick or
Well, because it's this feeling. Well, we have to keep him relevant in this superhero universe. Kind of like how now apparently Conan has a symbiote. So is it really necessary? Well, I guess kind of it is if he's in the universe that we're kind of putting him in. But
I mean, why can't they just do like the 90s? Have the Punisher going around, do what he does best, just like blowing away, these no-name criminals we know nothing about, and then everyone in the Marvel universe, just every so often, Spider-Man or someone swings by and says, "Don't do that."
Yeah, but the problem is then that story gets old, and it goes to that. Why hasn't he killed the Punisher yet? Why is Hammerhead still walking? Well,
that's what I said in his regular book. I mean, Zemo's coming after him. Zemo even put the Thunderbolts back together. Now I think in a few issues, Frank's getting his own team with like Moon Knight and stuff. So
yeah, well, for what it's worth, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes more.
Eventually, like when he steals the War Machine armor.
Yeah, that makes.
It's like this is what Ordnance is in this universe. Why wouldn't Punisher have a War Machine armor?
All of that makes more sense than this Asgardian stuff.
Yeah, well, especially because it's just some dude, some random dude. It's not even like I am, Fluggelflug, Emperor, General of the Frost. It's like no, it's really literally some grunt killed this civilian, and now he's gonna go kill this other grunt. Honestly, that could be the most fascinating part, is where he gets to, Aphelheim, and it's Aphelheim or is it Niflheim? I forget. But it's one of the Heims.
But yeah, I mean, I wonder if that,
and he just feels it's like a dude with a wife and kids.
Yeah, he's a soldier, just like Frank was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want from me, man? I mean, I killed a bunch of people because that was my job.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. We're frost giants. I'm sorry if that bothers you. That there are people who make a living by killing people.
Frank will learn a lesson.
Well, or he won't, because he won't.
Oh yeah.
And then he'll kill him and his wife and his kids.
But then and then in Thor 15 is basically just like Odin abdicating the throne to Thor, and he basically kneels to Thor, and it's like, oh, all hail Thor, the king, like we saw in the last War Realms, and just it's setting all that up. And I know, well, supposedly next month is the last issue with Thor, because then I guess Jason Aaron's going to end his run with I guess it's like a King Thor miniseries.
Okay.
Which I'm assuming is probably going to be like 4 issues, because I think it starts in September. So September, October, November, December, and then January, they'll probably come back with a new Thor #1 or something.
Most likely.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about 2 books, Champions,
yes,
number 7, and Avengers, number 21, because interestingly, these books share a lot of very common traits. One of which is people being stuck in their own heads. In Avengers, it's very, very heavy, especially with Thor constantly playing with his hammer.
In the hot tub.
In the hot tub, yeah. It's like, dude, I can't watch you playing with your hammer. And Steve is like, we don't really have time to relax in the hot tub. And I was like, yeah, I got like 6 remote, units out there, 1 Hulkbuster armor, doing this and the other. And
Tony Stark really needs the helmet to pilot all that. I'm surprised he doesn't have like a little headband where it's just like, yeah, I'm running 6 drones now.
Yeah, you know what? Probably his entire armor folds up into the helmet, and
Well, yeah, that's where all the cybernetic controls are in the helmet. But I'm just surprised he doesn't have something that just like where most of his face.
Yeah, we also get, of course, we have our Black Panther infiltrating the the thing, and with our evil Phil Coulson, let's just call him Sarge, and his Squadron Supreme
of America.
Yeah, it is very interesting, but this is the thing that I think is the most interesting aspect, which is our She-Hulk.
Yes,
where we're seeing her thought bubbles. Are Jen Walters.
And she's talking like normal Jen Walters, but when she opens her mouth, it sounds like, Hulk smash.
Yeah, exactly. And what we're getting is all of this self-doubt and, people not certain. Steve Rogers is worrying about there's a new star brand, but it's an evil star brand, yada, yada, yada. And, little Robbie Reyes, he's like, I'm afraid of the devil within me. But we're all struggling. And it's like one of these things where it's like, on one hand, it's uplifting in the idea that everyone has problems and we're all still working through them. We're all trying to be heroes.
Yes.
But at the same time, you have Thor saying, wait, what was that? Am I not worthy again? Should I try to lift the hammer again? And again, like I said, the She-Hulk, having rational thoughts, but not being able to articulate them because she's sort of stuck in between these worlds.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Black Panther just totally Batmaning it up. It's like, no, keep on running all the other simulations. I need all the reports.
Yes.
And then, as all of the Avengers are wallowing in their own mires of mind, who is hanging out in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada?
Mephisto,
what will I do next? And meanwhile, what will he do next? Well, what did he do first? He was going on the second generation too.
No.
He has already been manipulating our good heroes of the champions. And we get to see as Captain Marvel can't handle what she's having to deal with. We see that Viv is also dealing with a ghost program, which, not for nothing, reminds me so much of when Loki would turn himself into Norman Osborn's like goblin self to whisper in his ear during the siege. And it is about, and that's just that, and so that's just our reference to Loki at the start of this book. We then get into everything that Alexander and this chick are going into. They're doing, and honestly, I don't feel any sexual chemistry between these two. I mean, there's parts of it that maybe make you think that, because there's like this whole thing about where he's saying, "Stop pressing yourself against me in the cabin." He's like, "I'm not pressing myself against you. This is just a one-person vehicle. There really isn't supposed to be room for 2, but I need you so that I can get my honor back." Yada yada yada.
Just awkward teenagers. Yeah,
they're all awkward. But as you pointed out to me, we get Adsit in this, and Adsit apparently has been in the Nova Corps for a while. And they're trying to get the black Nova helmet back, but that was stolen in Amazing Spider-Man number 8. And the girl threatens to kill Adsit. She had given Alexander a gun. He shoots, but it's unloaded. And she said, "Well, I'm just glad you can kill in some situation." She does shoot Adsit. but we don't know if she shot him at a lower level, if he had a anti-ion pulse, vest on. But anyway, that's where we're at.
Maybe he only shoots blanks when he's holding it or something, Charlie.
Don't even go there. But here's what I'll say. Next, because they're going back to Earth, because apparently the helmet's on Earth, and we have this image of next episode, he's back in the costume. But then again, in this episode, it shows like he's almost going to get the costume, but no, it's actually miles away. So, take cover art for what it's worth.
Yes.
Anything else to talk about tonight, Philip?
No, I think that's it. We hit a lot.
We hit a lot. Look for upcoming blog posts, kids, because I've got some, and there's some more details coming in that. In the meantime, Philip, if people would like to talk to you about the things we forgot to talk about, how can they talk to you?
I think we talked everything here in Capes and Lunatics. But if you want to get a hold of me, you can always email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am at nightwingpdp. And just follow Capes and Lunatics and Superconnectivity on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And the voicemail, one and all, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES.
And I am certain we did not talk about it all, because there's always something I'm going to remember as soon as we can help. It's like, we've got to talk about that. And if you are feeling that way, certainly write to me in that old-fashioned email way. We have Moz and Pause once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. Remember, there's a blog in there because I write those from time to time, and one is coming soon called 13,999,999 Mistakes. Okay.
By the time this episode goes up, I should hopefully have it up.
Hey, I did the writing, and now you're going to actually do the heavy work of saying, how do I make this actually look like something that anyone would want to read? Because I make Philip do all the heavy work.
I just have to slap some pictures on there.
And in the meantime, follow me on the Twitters, because by the time you hear this, I might be ready to live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. next Friday night at 8 at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIESSER. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for connecting with me and Phil. Please be certain to super connect with us again next week. Good night.
Good night.
As opposed to next week on Capes and Lunatics when we say good day.
Ah!
Got to get my Australian jokes in now because it'll be offensive when
Capes and Lunatics International next week.
International Men of Mystery.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
So much Comic-Con news will be coming.
I'm sure there'll be much to discuss, including the reveal that Leviathan is either Jimmy Olsen or Gus Corman.
Fight us, nerds.